Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettit. It's just me today. I know, sad, but nobody could record with me today. But that's okay, because I don't know if I even know anyone who can talk as much as I can about our subject today, our hero we are discussing. Alright, so there's a very, very sad, there's a very sad fact that I have been aware of for some time. There's a certain hero who you almost certainly do not know she exists. You might know some mostly wrong things about her if you watch the movie Logan. I'm assuming most of the people listening to this podcast, however, did not. Good for you. I don't think you needed to see a lot of things in that movie, so good for you. Self-control. Yeah. Except from that, or if you're like a real comic nerd, you probably don't know she exists, and that's just kind of a tragedy, because she's pretty awesome. So today, if you would allow me to introduce you to the amazing character that is X-23. Yep. Yeah, you have no idea. You thought, a few of you were like, oh, I'm probably gonna know. It's just an underrated no. You don't know who this is. I'll explain it to you, though. I am aware that the camera's kind of tilted. That's because I'm such a nerd that I have comics to show you. No, I'm not gonna show them all to you, just like the cover, because I'm gonna basically fill you in on her story. Not gonna go all the way through it, although I probably could, because again, kind of I'm a little bit of a fan of this character, but I have almost every comic that she's in, or every story that she's in. I don't have the full series yet, but I am waiting for more money. Or just Christmas presents. Yeah, I think that's all. I'm just gonna basically go through like the eras that she was in and mostly stick with stuff that affected the larger continuity. Just mention if she has a solo series, because again, I'm just slowly easing you into this character. You know, I'm not gonna force her onto you, tell you all of her stuff that happened to her, but I'm going to just tell you a little bit about her. So basically, I believe she was actually created for a TV series, the TV series X-Men Evolution. She had a few episodes there. I don't like them. They're weird and cringe, in my humble opinion. But eventually, she was given her own solo series. Okay, she came into the comics a little before that, but we're not going to talk about that. Because they done did her very wrong. And yeah, no, those comics are not it. Um, but she was given her own comic origin story by written by Craig Kyle, and I think Christopher Yost also wrote it. I can never remember if it's like the artist and the author, or if they're like both authors. I assume they're both authors. But yeah, so basically, and this is one of her first comics. She had two. The first one was called Innocence Lost. This one's called Target X. I would have shown the first one, which I do have, but the cover is not it. We'll just say that. So basically, in this series, we find out that she was created from a damaged sample of Wolverine's DNA. Now, they tried to, replicate the genes so they would just have a normal clone, but they could not get the chromosomes right. And even though some other scientists and the heads of the project told her not to, the head of this specific project, Sarah Kinney, decided she was going to go ahead and try to make a female clone because she couldn't make the chromosomes work right. And so she went through with that, and it worked, and it was a viable sample. And then as revenge, she was forced to become the mother of the clone. So basically all that happened, she was a clone, and she became an assassin. She had to kill a bunch of people, and it got real dark for a second. If you don't like violence, I might skip a few of her comics, but especially this one, because she kills a lot of people. And so she's trained to be an assassin, just a very, very good assassin too. But then her creator Sarah Kinney, she finally realizes that it's kind of bad to create assassins out of 11-year-old girls. And she helps X-23 escape the facility where she was created. She kills all the scientists, and then she blows up the building. But unfortunately, X-23 was exposed to a trigger scent, which was a scent that was created to make her go into like a berserker rage. And she killed her mother, who Sarah had claimed to be her mother by then and accepted it, and that she was real, that X-23 was a real person, not just a clone. But that was sad. And then she ran off to go find out how to have a life on her own. So that's where this one comes in. There it is again. This is a really good comic. So it sees she's being interrogated by Captain America, because while she was on the run, she kind of she started living with her family. The only family she knew was like her aunt and her cousin. She started living with them. Then they got targeted by the facility, so she had to leave them. She went to find Wolverine, and that didn't go well because she was really mad at him for just existing, because she existed because of him and she didn't like existing that much. So they had a little tussle, and then he explained to her all the stuff and why she should exist, and then Captain America arrested her. But he realized that she was not responsible for her actions, and he let her go and just try to live life normally. So that's basically her origin. Again, this is a great comic. This one specifically, her Innocence Lost is a fine comic as well. It's a little more violent than this one though. So sometime after that, and this is much more important to the bigger continuity of the comics universe, but the event known as M-Day occurred. If you don't know what that is, it's basically Scarlet Witch had a mental breakdown and altered reality to where 90% of mutants lost their powers. So at Xavier Academy, obviously a bunch of these mutant students lost their powers. So Wolverine recruited X-23 to come be in the new X-Men because they needed her. But that's where she came into the new X-Men, which is basically just the young X-Men, the new X-Men. Yeah. But she stuck with that team for a while. They fought William Stryker, Belasco the Demon, and I don't have the rest of the series though. But mostly William Stryker and his what's it called? Purifiers? Yeah. William Stryker and his Purifiers, and she stayed with them for a good while actually. She had a good run with them. And yeah, I can't remember. Okay. Yeah. So after that, she ended up leaving the new X-Men because she started having some nightmares, and then she started thinking that she was a soulless monster because she killed people. So that also got a little dark, but she did get her own comic series out of it, a little solo series, just a plain X-23 series. I know she murdered. It's not even murder, it's a wolf, but she did slaughter that poor little wolf guy, but still. She doesn't actually kill any wolves in the book, it just looks like it's just a cool cover. But she goes on little solo adventures trying to figure out how she has a soul and stuff, deep existential stuff. It's actually pretty good, if you can ignore how she's kind of broody sometimes, because soul stuff and whatnot. But she goes on adventures with Wolverine, Gambit, Jubilee, and yeah, that's it. Her, Wolverine, Gambit, and Jubilee, which those are all awesome characters. So that they make it really great. And she figures out she does have a soul, so good for her. When this series ends, she actually gets recruited by Natasha Romanoff to be a part of the Young Avengers Academy. So she stays with them for a really short time, I think. I don't actually have that series, sadly. But while she's in there, she gets put into the Avengers Arena, which is a comic storyline about the villain Arcade, where he puts all these students into a murder room and forces them to fight each other and kill each other. And so I don't know the details of that one because again I don't have the comic for it. I want it though. But basically she's exposed to that trigger scent I mentioned, and she has like a really crazy rage, and it gets televised, and so she's all, you know, she's not happy about that, and she gets depressed and broody again. And also, she's like really badly injured, so she basically goes and lives off in the woods for a minute or something because we don't see her for a while. The next time she appears is in the. I know I chose this great choice. They're just they're just kissing, but basically in this storyline, is this gonna look backwards when I release it? Whatever. In this storyline, basically Beast has brought the original X-Men, so Angel, Iceman, Jean Grey, Beast, Cyclops. He's brought them back from their time to the present time to stop Scott Summers from basically committing like mutant genocide by being too radical. And he's like basically becoming like Magneto because he hates humans. He thinks humans are bad because they don't like mutants, and he goes kind of crazy. So Beast brings the original X-Men back to try to snap him out of that, and they find X-23 sneaking around, like just being crazy and not really understanding things because she's still out of it. She's still affected from the murder world, or Avengers Arena. That's what it was called. They were put in the murder world. So they find her, and she kind of gets her memories back and starts remembering things, and so she joins that team, and she actually stays with them for probably the longest she's been with any team. Obviously she gets very friendly with Angel, the past Angel, back before like his whole thing. He's apparently Angel's story gets super dark, and he turns into death and like something. I don't know that much about him, but like she's with him when he's like just a young, rich dude with wings. So they have a thing going. And like I think they still do, which is weird because I don't think the original X-Men have been sent back to their time yet, or maybe they have, but it took a long time. So that was a little weird. But these comics are pretty decent. Little bit of teenage angst in it because they're all teenagers. Like actually, the new X-Men, where they're even younger, I think, has less teenage angst than this one. But it is pretty fun. I think they also go up against the Purifiers, but a kind of second generation, and just, yeah, all that sorts of stuff. But she's there for a while. 23 is. After that, Wolverine dies in some period after that time. I'm not sure when. I don't know the details about that. But basically, her and a bunch of other people that are connected to Wolverine go and try to find out, like, just the events surrounding his death and get more information about that. And there's a lot more to the storyline, but it's a little confusing. So that's all I'm gonna say about it. There's just this group of people trying to figure out more about Wolverine's death. It's called the Wolverines, because I don't know if this is backwards in the video or not. But she's a part of that with her brother Dakin, who is actually Wolverine's son. So, yeah. Him, Lady Deathstrike, like Sabretooth and Mystique and all those. And she has, like, I don't know the details again of this one, but these are kind of good. They're not one of the better ones because they're kind of confusing again. But she's there, and she plays a pretty big role in that, because she was like, being Wolverine's daughter is like a, kind of have one of the bigger roles, I think. But yeah, and just for the record, she is his clone, but he actually adopted her officially in that solo series that I was talking about. Okay. I'm trying to think. I think in between this time, this is another comic I don't own. In between this comic and the next one I'm about to show you, I think she joined Jean Grey's X-Men. So Jean Grey, I'm assuming it's the past Jean Grey because the present one is dead, I think. I don't really know what's going on with her. She's just always there, even though she's died a lot. But so the past Jean Grey, I'm assuming, starts her own X-Men team called X-Men Red. They're basically just doing basic X-Men things, just mutant haters, mutant hating villains or whatever, mutant villainy just fighting that stuff. Not anything too complicated. Her and her sister Gabby. Okay, now I realize I have made a mistake because that is going to come after this comic. So forget I said that right then. Or don't, because I won't have to explain it again. But, so after Wolverines happens, and Logan is dead, so X-23 becomes the all-new Wolverine. Now, this is actually a great comic. Like, they don't try to force any kind of, like, feminist or anything. She doesn't even think she's better than Wolverine, and nobody else does. She's just trying to, like, honor his legacy or whatever. So, this is a great series. And this is where we're introduced to Gabby, who I was trying to put in the wrong spot. But we are introduced to a clone of X-23. Yes, it's a clone of a clone. I know it's a little out there, but it's superheroes, so deal with it. But they have made 4 clones of Laura. One of them dies by jumping off a tower. One of them is shot by their handlers, and one of them goes and works for X-23's nemesis, Kimura. And so basically, Gabby is the only good one. But yeah, she has her sister, Gabby. Gabby is awesome. Also, I couldn't make a whole episode on her character. I would if I could, but she's only been in the universe for like, I don't even know, not long at all. She's a pretty recent character, but she's great. She's very she's a great kid, you know? She's just a kid being a kid. She kind of has a very similar personality to Miss Marvel, but, you know, she's just she's a little more like just blunt and I don't know, a little more reckless, I guess. And she's like best friends with Deadpool, so do I really have to explain anything more than that to show you why she's awesome? Like, literally, they interacted once, and they were like, we're best friends now, because they're very similar in the way that they, like, they just are similar. They act very similar. But yeah, all new Wolverine, great stuff. And then, after that, I have no idea what is going on with her story, just, like, right after that. Apparently, it gets real complicated because she joins a different X-Men team, and there's like a clone of her or something, or someone from the future or something. But basically, I think there's 2 X-23s in continuity now, so I don't really know which one I'm reading about right now. But we're just gonna cut that out and just imagine that that's not there because I don't understand it. So we're just gonna move on to the next one. So basically, she has her little stint as Wolverine, but eventually she puts it off because she wants to work with Gabby to find other corporations that are trying to make Wolverine clones and like clones of her and clones to be weapons. She's trying to find those corporations and shut them down. So she goes and has another little solo comic. Well, not solo. Well, it's her comic, but Gabby is also a second main character. It only has 2 comics in it, so it didn't last long, but it was pretty good. They interact with the Stepford Cuckoos, who are also clones. They're just shutting down clone facilities, being mutant vigilantes in general. So it's a fun little venture, and Gabby is there, so that's pretty awesome. As for what happens after that, I believe I have heard that she is coming back as Wolverine. I think she already has in the newer X-Men comics, but I haven't read any of the newest X-Men comics, because I'm scared to. Because like, even in some of her comics, like I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish that all new X-Men because they made Iceman gay, because I think in the newer comics it's like a requirement to ruin one character per series. But so I'm always scared to read a new comic. But yeah, I think she's Wolverine again, so that's cool. All right, now that you know who she is, congratulations, because she's pretty great, and I'm gonna explain to you why I think she's so awesome. So, like, when I was first introduced to this character, I think I found her on a video game, actually. She was featured on Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I think. And I was like, oh, cool, it's like a girl Wolverine, that's crazy. You know, because I was like, I don't know how old I was, but I just thought, oh, girl Wolverine, cool. And then, I got a comic of her for Christmas, and then I just started buying all the comics and figuring out what she was all about and stuff. And she's really cool. Like, one thing I love about her character is that, like, even, like I said, even when she was Wolverine, they never tried to make her better than Wolverine. She was never trying to, like, upstage him. It's just like they're both great for different reasons. Is Wolverine better? Yes. He's Wolverine. Like, I'm do I probably like X-23 better as a character just because she's literally a teenage girl. Well, she's not a teenager anymore, but she's slightly more relatable than some like 70-year-old man. So that's just a personal thing, but Wolverine is still Wolverine and he's awesome. But she is just, you know, she has all her own reasons to be good, and they never tried to make her better than Wolverine. Like, all throughout the all new Wolverine series, like she just, all she wanted to do was like honor his memory, and she was never like, I gotta be the best Wolverine ever, because she knew she wasn't. She wasn't Wolverine. Wolverine is Logan, and he is Wolverine, but she was also Wolverine, and she did a good job for different reasons. So I always liked that with her character. I mean, other than that, she's just like, the reason she's cool is just many of the same reasons as Wolverine. She has a very similar temperament. She's like stubborn and kind of blunt and a little what's the word? She's just kind of rough around the edges as a character, but you just get to see that interact in different situations than the Wolverine would get to be in, because she gets to interact with the young X-Men, and she has that whole story about being a clone, whereas Wolverine has a completely different backstory, so you get to see that, and she doesn't really have a personality for the first few comics she's in, and then you get to see her get one because she gets like a life and stuff. So that's really cool. Her story is done very well. Her nemesis Kimura follows through like her whole life basically. She does kill Kimura in the end, I will say, and she figures out how to. She's very smart, which I like. She did all the times her and Wolverine have fought. She did win one time, and because she was smart, and she like plugged up his wounds with dirt so he wouldn't stop bleeding, I think. Yeah. So they wouldn't heal and he would just keep bleeding. So she's smart, and she's got that whole, cool trained assassin but trying to be good kind of deal going on. That's always interesting. But yeah, she's just really, really cool. Would I want to see her in a movie one day? I mean, yeah, but I feel like she's gonna be a hard one to get right. Like, I can't even think of anyone I would want to play her. She's so cool, and her story is so interesting, and I just need you to get it right. Because she's already, like I said, been introduced in a movie in Logan, but she was so weird. Like, they took one thing from the comics. She's Hispanic for some reason. I don't have anything against Hispanic people. That's not what I'm saying. She's not. She was born in Canada to a probably Canadian mother. Like, and her DNA is from a Canadian. Like, she's not Hispanic. She could probably speak Spanish because she was an assassin and she was trained to speak a bunch of languages so she could assassinate people. But no, she's not Hispanic. And she was like super, super young when she met Logan, when she was like 14 in the comics. She was like a little girl child, I think. I didn't watch the movie again. They didn't do her completely wrong, but it was just, and yeah, just she wasn't in the story where she was supposed to be, so they didn't have a chance to just see her become cool and do all this awesome stuff. My grammar is not great today. I don't think it ever has been, but I feel like I've been messing up slightly more than usual. um, but yeah, I think if you could do her well, that would be awesome. I think Gabby is more suited for a movie because she's just, got a simpler thing to her. She's just a kid, and she doesn't have that much story to work with, so you can kind of mess with her however you want. I think it's very similar to Miss Marvel again. You can kind of change up her story because she's pretty newish, at least. But I think if they just worked hard, they could do X-23 really well, and I would be so happy. Have I even said her name throughout this whole thing? Her name is Laura Kinney, if that matters at all. I just thought I should probably mention that. But her mom named her Laura right before she died. So, yeah, I would like to see her in a movie though. But again, they just don't do. It's just, it would be so hard to do her correctly. And I also like to see Gabby, which she would be easy, but I would like you to introduce X-23 before Gabby, and then you could have Deadpool team up with Gabby, and then that would be amazing. But again, it would be hard, and they need to focus on what they're doing right now in the MCU because they need to fix it and get back on track with that. So she can wait. She has awesome comics, and I will be happy to read those. My comics are so flimsy and worn down because I just read them all the time. So I will be content with those for a while. But this character is awesome, and I think she deserves to be in a movie. But even without a movie, she's still great, and she's awesome. And now you know about her, so you're welcome. You needed to know, and now you do. She's great. She's so awesome. I love her. I love her character a lot. So cool. I think we can go ahead and end it on that. I hope that you are fascinated, and that I was not boring. That I didn't sound boring. And I think I'm proud that I didn't go too long because I will. If anybody ever would want to talk about X-23 or anything about her ever, I would be like, yes, let's do it for hours. But I'm not trying to make another hour and a half long episode. Thanks to those who watched that one, by the way. But, yeah, that's it. She's awesome. You should look into her. Unless you don't like violence, then don't look into her because it gets really dark and violent sometimes. But that is life, so. Yeah, that's it for this one. Thanks for listening and bearing with me as I geek out about a fictional character once again. This is not the last time I'll do that, probably, but it was the first time and it was fun for me. Go ahead and follow or subscribe or whatever it says on your thing that you listen on, and I only have it on 2 things, so probably just follow. And I guess, I don't know, leave a comment about I'll figure that out after this. So cool. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.